Hello, I am so glad you can join me today. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Guys, today I am making some steamed fish. Yesterday Charles and I went fishing, so excited. We caught some fish finally. I didn't record it because we went to Sabastian before. I went to Sabastian Inlet and I had recorded that visit, so I didn't want to repeat the same process. So we caught some fish. I was very excited about that. We caught some fish called the blue runners, and I caught like two. Charles caught the majority of them because for some reason we were fishing with shrimp because they were eating the shrimp. They seemed to like shrimp. But when I threw my rod over, I can feel a nibble, and I kind of pulled the line. But by the time I done, they had already taken off on my fish. So I'm telling you, all of my shrimp. So I was basically just feeding the fish yesterday. That's all I was doing. I wasn't catching anything, but I caught two. He caught the majority of them, but it was an exciting day. We had fun. So today, this is gonna be catch and cook, because today I'm cooking 3 of the fish that we got yesterday. They were pretty big, and I'm gonna cook them today, but I am steaming them on the stove. So I'm gonna show you how Bajans back in Barbados, how we make steamed fish, and I'm gonna make some green peas and rice, and I will be making some vegetables. These vegetables, I'm gonna do the frozen vegetables and make some stuff to it, so I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do that. But let me show you how I make steamed fish and rice. Over here on my counter, I have all of my ingredients that I'm going to be using to get started. I have my fish here. Yesterday, we came home. Guys, remember, this kind of remind me. Remember, back in Barbados years ago, when the fishermen used to come around fish season, right? And they would come around in the neighborhood, especially late in the evening. They'll sell like 10 fish for $1, 11 fish for $1. But as the night went on, they want to get rid of fish, so the fish could go up to like 20 fish for $1, whatever. But then your parents used to make you, I would say, well, my grandmother used to make us go sell the scaly fish, right? And we be scaling fish in sand flakes, used to bite your foot so bad. These sand flakes just used to eat you, but you couldn't move. You had to stand there and scaly fish. I have not scaled fish in years. So yesterday evening when I got home, Charles and I, it was a team work between the two of us. We scaled these fish, and guys, it kind of reminded me of back then, cleaning the fish and taking out all the gut of the fish and stuff like that, and we did it together. So all this fish was steamed, so I just thought I'll mention that. But anyway, let me show you what I did. After we cleaned the fish here yesterday, he and I, what I did is I seasoned my fish. Now here, I have a video of this. This is my Bajan seasoning that I made, and I keep it in my bottle in my refrigerator so I can use it whenever I want to. So I took my fish yesterday after I cleaned my fish and soak it with lemon salt and so on. I cut the fish right here on both sides, and then I took that seasoning that is in here, which has all kinds of herbs and spices in here, and I marinated all on the inside and all between and all over. So this has been sitting here all night marinating, right? This is my fish has been marinated. So this is what I'm going to be cooking today. It should be nice and seasoned. And over here, to cook with this fish, I have here my onions. This is how I chop my onions when you're going to do your steamed fish. These are some bell peppers I have here. I have some, this is a couple of celeries that's chopped up there. And this is some scallions. Over here, I have a couple of tomatoes. I have like a whole pot of garlic. Guys, I like a lot of garlic, so I tend to use a lot of garlic. If you guys don't like a lot of garlic, you can use maybe half of this. But I love garlic, so I use a whole pot of garlic. Some people say, oh, that's too much garlic. It's too much garlic for some people, but not too much for me. I like a lot of garlic, so that's up to you. Garlic gives everything a good flavor. So now in here, I have some spices. Now, when you seasoning your food, I start out here, everything here is half a teaspoon. Now, when you season up your food, you can add a little more of anything that you like in here, okay? It's up to you and it's up to your taste buds. But I have here, I have a teaspoon of paprika, some curry powder. I have some all-purpose seasoning here. I have some onion powder. Even though I have onions there, I still use some onion powder. I have a little bit of black pepper and I have some garlic powder. So this we're gonna all mix with a couple of other things that we will be using to steam our fish. So let's go over to the stove. I told Chaz he has to get me one of those little flat stove that you put here on the counter and just plug it in so I can cook right here in front of you instead of having to go back there. Okay guys, so before we start on our fish, I want to start on my rice. And I like to get everything going at the same time, that everything finish about the same time for you to eat. So now for my rice, I'm using some green peas. I'm using a canned green peas because I don't have fresh peas. I'm not in Barbados. I can't go outside on a tree and pick some peas to cook with. So I'm using canned peas, okay? So let me get started. I'm gonna put this can of peas in here. I'm cooking 2 cups of rice. So once these peas boil for a little while, then I'm gonna add my rice and some vegetables to it, okay? So while that is on boiling, then I'm gonna start on the fish. So let's go over to the stove. So on my stove here, I have I'm gonna cut up a little piece of my onion and drop in there. But this is just the peas in here with a little bit of water that I added to it. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to take a little bit of my garlic that I chopped up and I drop that in there. I'm going to take a little bit of my all-purpose, my Bajan seasoning that I made and add in there to my peas. Now I'm just going to leave this and let this come to a boil, and once this has come to a boil, then I'll add the rice to that. Now we're going to start on our steamed fish. The first thing we're going to do right now, I always say we, but I know you guys going to be cooking with me at some point and watching me while you make your stuff, so that's why I said we, okay guys? Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is pour some olive oil in here. And I usually average out my olive oil to at least a couple tablespoons. 3 would not hurt you. And I'm going to put some butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter too, inside of my pan. The pan is now starting to get hot. It's not very hot, but it's getting hot. I have my garlic here. And I would say this is like half a cup of garlic, because these little things that I have here, it measures like half a cup, so that's half a cup of garlic. And as I said, for some people that's too much. For me, that is just right. Garlic is good. It's good for high blood pressure. It brings it down, everything. Anyway, I'm gonna let this, I love the flavors just come out, so I can smell the flavors. Going to add to that the onions right now, just the onions for now. Not gonna add all the other stuff yet. I'm just gonna add, I'm dropping stuff on the floor, guys, that's not good. Okay, let me just rest this over here. I'm not ready to put the peppers in yet, so let me just take these 2 peppers up. And I'm going to just leave this here for a minute. Let it say saute for a minute before I add the other stuff. Okay, okay guys. So when you have just caramelized your onions a little bit in your oil and your butter and your garlic, then the next thing I'm going to do is add all this other stuff to it, which is the scallion, the pepper, the celery. I'm going to add to that. And then leave this in here and just saute this like this for a few minutes. And to this, all these spices that we have here together, now they're going to come together and make friends. Now they're going to be buddies, and we can add them all in there. As I said, later on when you taste your food, you can decide whether you want to add a little more black pepper, a little more whatever you want to add. You can add to it, okay? I'm going to also add my tomatoes. Those are like 2 small tomatoes cooked down. The last thing that you're going to add to this is your fish. When this is done, cooking together here, you'll add your fish, but that's the last thing you'll add, okay? So leave this here for a few minutes and then I'll come back and check on it. Okay guys, so when you have your onions and so on here, the next thing you're going to do is add some water. I'm going to add a little more water. And then you're going to you're going to cover this. But before you cover it, I have my Bajan seasoning here that I told you guys about. I'm going to add some of my seasonings to that. It's all in the flavor, guys. One thing we do in Barbados is make sure that our food is well seasoned to taste. That's why everybody's still like, how did you make that? It is so good. Because you season it well, okay? So now I'm gonna let this come to a boil. I'm gonna add some other stuff to it. But before I do, I'm gonna let it come to a boil, okay? So just leave this here and we will be back to check that. But now my rice has come to a boil. I just lowered the stove and I have a plantain. Sometimes I like to put a plantain inside of my rice. Just make sure that your plantain is a nice firm plantain, okay? Okay guys, so my rice has come to a boil. I just lowered the stove. So what I have here is a plantain. I'm gonna cut it in half. And this is a nice firm plantain, not a green plantain, a ripe plantain, but a firm one. And sometimes I'll put a plantain inside of the rice. But I would put it in just as I'm about to add the rice, then I'll put the plantain. So my rice came to, my peas, can't talk right now. My peas came to a boil, so now I'm gonna add the rice. Now I'm gonna add the rice to that. I'll stir it. Last week I made rice, but I made black-eyed peas and rice. I'm making rice again, same way, but this is green peas and rice. And remember I told you, when you cook your rice, you want the water to come just above the rice, okay? Just above the rice. Like this water here is above the rice. I'm just going to put a little more water just to make sure it has enough water. You don't want to put too much water, because then you'll have soft rice, okay? The greens will be too, like mushy. You don't want it to be mushy, you want it to be firm. So I'm just going to just a little bit. Now I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this because I haven't salted it as yet. So let me add a little salt. I add a little salt. You don't want to add too much because some of those peas and so on in the can, they have salt and the spices. So I'm gonna go ahead and taste a little bit of it, taste a little bit of the water, just to see if it is salty enough. Yes, it's good. See, the canned stuff has salt in it. That's why you have to be careful with your salt, okay? And this is it. So I'm gonna leave this rice here, put my stove on low again, make sure my stove is on low, and let it just stay there and dry down. And I will be back as soon as that is done. Okay guys, so now this is our gravy here that's boiling down. I'm going to add some salt to it. I'm going to add some ketchup, maybe about a tablespoon of ketchup. I'm going to add some hot sauce. And I'm going to mix this all up together. You have to make sure it's tasting good before you add the fish to it. So you make sure, because you don't, once you add the fish, you can be stirring it around and adding all stuff. So I'm going to taste it now and see. It needs more salt. I'm going to add some more salt here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and taste it again. Put it on my spoon. Taste it again. Yep. That's what it needed, guys. Okay, now I have my fish over here. Oh, let me get the fish. Oh, it's heavy. Guys, could you believe it? I was so excited to catch a fish. I caught a big one too. I think this is probably one I catch right here, guys. I think that's probably my fish right now. I think I caught the biggest fish. My neighbor was so happy when I gave it to her. She made it the same time. Let me get it out of here. And see, when you cut it, split it like that, you marinate like all between inside the fish. And now this liquid and all this good seasoning that's left in here, we're just gonna pour. We're not gonna get rid of that. We're gonna pour that in here. Yeah, you get a clean spoon, and you're just gonna cover it. Just pour stuff on top of your fish and cover it. The fish is also going to produce more liquid too, guys. Yes, Siri, cover it. And then remember I said we're steaming this fish. Looks good, doesn't it? We're steaming. We're making steamed fish today. So now I have my stove lower. Now I'm gonna cover it. This pot, this saucepan I had, this pan I had for years. I don't know if I ever had a cover for it or not. I have no idea. But what I do here with this, you're gonna leave this like that. You're not gonna turn it. You're gonna just leave that. Get some foil paper, and you're gonna cover it with foil because it was covered just now. You're gonna cover it with foil. And you're going to put it on low, and you're going to just let it steam. You're going to let it cook, stay there, and steam down till your fish is cooked. Fish don't take a long time to cook, so that's why you're going to just lower your stove and just leave it there. And I'll be back as soon as this is done. Okay, guys, so our fish is on steaming, our rice is drying down, so now we got to start on our vegetables. Now for vegetables today, I have, and I'm using frozen vegetables. Well, let me tell you what I'm using. This is broccoli. This is a frozen broccoli that I'm using. I also have, I'm not using a lot of it, some okra, and this is also frozen okra as well. I also have in here some spinach. This is not frozen, this is fresh spinach I'm going to be using, okay? So I want to cut my spinach up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spinach out of here, and this looked like a lot, but as I said, when it dries down, it is not that. It's really not that much. And I'm cutting my spinach up like this. No special way, just chop it up a little bit. Let me put it back in this bowl. And this is what I'll be using. And I also have over here a little bit of garlic, a little bit of onion, a little bit of tomato, not a lot. So let me go over to the stove and let me get this started so everything can finish at the same time. So let's go. A little bit of olive oil. And to my vegetables, I don't use a lot of spices, just a few things, because I don't think you need to add a lot of spices to your vegetables. Well, everybody's different. I'm going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon of butter and just get it for a few minutes to heat up. While I'm waiting for my oil to heat up, let me show you my fish right here. And what you do every once in a while is you just come and just, but it's cooked. I can tell that it's cooked. But you can just get a little bit of your gravy and just throw. You see there's a lot more liquid in here because the fish springs water. And this is done. This is done, guys. My fish is done. My rice over here, the rice is drying down. I will check that in a few minutes and tell you exactly how that's coming along. But the rice is looking good, guys. So we have our butter here, which is heated. I'm going to add my garlic to that. Stir my garlic for a few minutes. so those nice flavors come out. Then I'm gonna add my onion to that. Stir that around in there for a minute or so. Then to that, once I stir that around for a minute or so, I'm going to add the tomatoes to that. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to put my spinach in there. This spinach is going to melt down in a minute, guys, and it's going to look like there was nothing in there. Okay. Then to that, now these are frozen okras. There's not a lot of them. I'll add them to there. And as I told you, this is frozen broccoli. I'm going to add that frozen broccoli to there as well. And just turn it here a little bit so everything get mixed in, so I get a little bit of that oil in that butter that I put in there. I'll put a little bit of salt on there and a little black pepper, but not until it's cooked down for a little bit. So I'm going to leave that there for a few minutes and then we'll come back and check it in a minute or so. So here is our vegetables. I'm going to sprinkle a little black pepper on there. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt. And this is done. This took how many minutes? Maybe 5 minutes or so. You just, all you need is for the broccoli and so on to you know, because it was frozen, so you need to cook it a little bit. It don't have to be cooked, but you just need to heat it up a little bit, and that's it. You see the spinach is all melted down. You could barely see it now, all that spinach. And that's done, guys, because you need your vegetables are supposed to be nice and firm, not cooked too soft. Okay, and this is our vegetables. So now let me check our rice. Let me see if our rice is cooked. Here is our rice. There we go, our rice is cooked. From looking at it, you can see it's cooked and see it's nice and fluffy. It's not too soft and the grains is not hard. And this is our plantain right here. So that's done. And over here, I turned off my stove. My fish is nice and done. So steamed fish, green peas and rice, and some vegetables. Let's serve this up, guys, and have some dinner. Guys, food is all done. Over here, we have our green peas and rice, plantain. Over here is my mixed vegetables, and the star of the show, some steamed fish. So I'm ready to test everything for you. So I have my plate over here. I'm gonna put a little of everything on my plate and taste a little of everything and tell you exactly what it tastes like. I know what it tastes like already. It's gonna be good, but I'm tasting it for you. So I'm gonna put a little of my vegetables on here. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And guys, I have some pepper sauce on my table. This is Aunt May's pepper sauce. Someone dropped this off here for me. And you know, Bajans, everybody have a bottle of pepper sauce on the table. People love the peppers. And I'm gonna put a little bit of rice here. And I have a knife over here. Let me get a piece of plantain. You need a nice firm piece of plantain. And plantain gives that little sweet taste, just in case some people like a little sweet. There's your plantain. So now let me put this aside, because here is the star of the show. And I had this cut, remember, in pieces right here. you can just go ahead and continue cut there, and you can cut it right here. So it's cut for you. I'm going to take this inside piece right here and put it on my plate. And of course, I love gravy on my rice. So I'll take some of this gravy with onions and all that good stuff and just pour it on my rice. And I like pepper sauce. I've already used pepper sauce like this for you before, but let me just put some of these things out of the way so when I'm talking to you, all this stuff is not in my way. Put the rice over there. Actually, I'm not going to use the pepper sauce right now. I was going to use the pepper sauce. I'm not going to, because I want to get the taste of exactly what everything tastes like to let you know. So I'm going to start with a little bit of my rice here. Taste the rice. Very good. Grains are tender, just the way it should be. Well seasoned, and that extra flavor from the fish gravy. Very good. Now I'm going to taste the fish for you. Open up the fish, you see that? Open the fish. I'm going to taste a piece of the fish. Actually, I'm going to put it on top of the rice and eat the two together. If I can barely get it up. Oh! You will like this fish. It's called blue runner. I guess Charles says the blue fish, but it's just a smaller fish to the big blue fish. The meat is tender. It's nice and tender. It's good. And of course we have our vegetables here. And the broccoli is nice and firm. It's not cooked too much because you need your vegetables to be firm. This is my Sunday dinner, guys. This is my Sunday dinner. It tastes delicious. I hope you guys got to go fishing. It was fun fishing yesterday. I really enjoyed it. Everybody around was catching fish, which is really good. You like it when you go and everybody's catching fish and so on. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys get to do it. Ooh. Guys, I had fun making this for you. I hope you have fun making some for your family. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I love to read your comments. Until next time, bye-bye.